Hello everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. It is Tuesday night, so we're here. And this week, Bahrain is the track. It's going to be an interesting race, this one. A lot of people here have the potential for a race win or a podium. And a few people definitely on the rise in terms of form, such as RJ and Sumo. So it's going to be interesting to see where everyone ends up today. But here we are in Bahrain. Hello to Lupper in the chat, and good luck today for your first Tier 2 race without line. I'm sure you'll be fine. You might be a bit slow, but you know, you'll be fine eventually. Don't try and go at the same pace that you go with the line, because you'll just end up spinning, especially at this track. So just make sure you got the braking zones down, and just try and keep it. What's the word? Grounded. On the circuit. Hello to Lewis in the chat as well. Welcome. Haven't seen you around before. I'm not sure if you're a driver in disguise or or someone I know, but welcome. I don't. You might be. Oh, you're Lewis AP. Hello. Welcome in. Good to see you. Great recovery in Elite on Sunday, by the way. But here we are for the first laps getting underway in Tier 2 Bahrain. Muhiti is back on track. It's great to see him back. Haven't seen him on track in a very long time due to, I think, work commitments bogging him down in APP, which is a shame because he's a veteran and a former drivers championship runner-up as well in season, I think it was season 5, when he finished runner-up to the Australian Pommy Alex. But through he goes into sector 2. Down towards turn 10. Is this Mercedes going to get in his way? Hopefully not. I'm not sure who it is, but then definitely not on a lap because that light was flashing. It was Alex, so he just about got out of the way in time, I think. But Muhiti coming down towards turn 11. Tricky corner because you've got to get the throttle on very quickly to not lose too much time, but so easy to spin through turn 12 and down towards 13. Another tricky corner. The braking zone is very much a figment of your imagination going into that corner. There's no marker boards. Down towards the final corner, Lawrence, the defending champ, sets the initial pace at 30.06. But RJ beats him by 3.5 tenths at 29.7. What can Muhiti do? It's at 30.5 to put him in P4 for now. But we'll ride on board with someone else who's completing a lap. Alex is on an outlap, so just starting one. What about Mania 93, who needs a good result? He's not on the best of form right now. Across the line, a 30.2 to put in P3, just ahead of Sumo. That's not too bad from the AlphaTauri driver. Jackalacco goes into P2 just behind, and then the Ferrari of Tier goes into P6 with a 30.4. And then we've got Mr. J-Man coming across the line in the other McLaren as well. What can he do? He can do a 30.0, which is enough for P4. Very close between P2 and P4 at the moment, as we've got the Haas of Aces coming around the final corner. Hello to Lancer. Yeah, good to see you. Unfortunately, can't let you race in Tier 2. You would destroy everyone. But Aces goes to P1 at 29.162. That's going to take some beating. But I think he's going to have a pretty good time out there today, Aces. There's no MCL today. He's got a race ban, the championship leader and his teammate. So Ace has got a really good chance at winning this race after narrowly losing out to RJ in Singapore in a drag race to the line last week. It was a fantastic end to the race. Alex G coming down towards the final corner. Rafferrari coming through the final corner at the moment as the Spaniard sets his first lap of the session. It's looking pretty good. It's a 30.2. It's not far off at all. P8 for the Williams driver. What about Alex G? It's going to be a 29.8. which takes him up to P3, but no one can challenge Aces versus Kings right now in that Haas. He is flying at the moment this season. And P2 in the championship. He might be leading the championship after this race if he can hold things together. Lucas Rowe on an outlap as well in the Ferrari. As I think the grid's looking very, very close all the way down from P3 all the way downwards, very close between everyone as Alex cuts across the corners, and that could land him in a spot of bother with the stewards, unfortunately, because that is decidedly not allowed in APPF1 to cut corners in qualifying like that. So he might be taking an untimely trip to the stewards room, unfortunately for him, as Lucas Rowe comes down towards the final corner. To start his first lap of the session, he had a decent race, I think, in Singapore, if I remember rightly. Let me just double check. Double check the race results. Yeah, it came P7, pretty decent result, P6 on the grid as well. So he'll be hoping to build on that momentum today. He's currently sitting in the standings P10 with 24 points. The leader of the championship right now is MCL, who's got a race ban today, but he's on 47 points, with Aces versus Kings on 42, just 5 points behind. Lupa Korvax, another 5 points behind that, but he's on no line from now on due to being too fast on raw pace for the rest of the Tier 2 grid, as we found out. Jack Alaco on and his teammate Lawrence, and then RJ on 32 in P7 in the standings. So very, very close in the driver's standings, but the constructor standings, the absence of MCL could bring the constructors a little closer. Haas currently leading with 89 points compared to Aston Martin's 68, and then Red Bull on 63, but no Robsu today, unfortunately, which is a shame. As AlphaTauri on 50 points in P4 will be looking to get themselves back into the top 3. But Lucas Rowe down towards the line in the Ferrari. DRS Open is a 30.3 his initial run. Lupa has come back into the pit lane. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe invalidated out of the final corner, perfectly possible. But Ace is back on an outlap for a second run. Hello to Red Flame Joe in the chat, my Tier 1 teammate. And the current championship leader in Elite. And no problem, Joe, it's always my pleasure to commentate on Tier 2. Always great racing in this division. As Aces through turn 10. He's on an outlap at the moment, but the two Aston Martins on flying laps. Lawrence D in P5 at the moment. The defending champ has not had a good start to the season, but he's still there or thereabouts in terms of the championship standings as he comes through Sector 2 now, down through turn 9 and down towards 10, or turn 8, sorry, down towards turn 9, which is this one, and then turn 10 is where you brake for. And then DRS Open all the way down towards turn 11 as the Ferrari just ahead gets out of his way. Lawrence coming down towards turn 11. We'll shortly find out what his sector time is like as the Sector 2 line coming up after turn 12 right here. And what are we looking at? He's 3.5 tenths down, in fact, so no improvement for Lawrence on this run. What about Jack Alaco, the Scottish driver in the other Aston Martin? That was pretty conservative through turn 11, and yeah, he's way down on his time, so he's not improving. Mr. J-Man also not improving right now. Muhiti just starting a lap, or just finished a lap, I think. He's gone up to P7, so decent effort from the McLaren driver. As here comes Mania through Sector 2. see if he can have any improvement, as well as Sumo, who was running fantastically well last week in Singapore. Mania 2.5 tenths up. Tier goes up to P4 in the meantime while we weren't watching him, but Sumo had a great run last week in Singapore, but unfortunately crashed out. But here he goes now through Sector 2. Down towards the sector line in the Mercedes. What can he do? He's 4 tenths up. It's a great effort so far from Sumo. Mania goes up to P4 as well. A lot of improvement happening across the grid, but no one can stand up to Aces' time right now. Sumo down towards the final corner in the Mercedes. What is he capable of? It's going to be DRS open down towards the line for Sumo Gilligan. What can my commentary partner do? He can go to P4, 1/1000th of a second behind his teammate. Brilliant stuff from the two Mercedes as they occupy the second row right now. Ace is back into the pits, wasn't able to improve, so that was a pretty good time that he set first of all. And hello to Scott in the chat as well. Welcome to the stream. And yeah, Ace is putting in a shift right now. As RJ spins out of turn number 4. That's a shame, but so easy to do out that corner. The traction is practically non-existent. What can Lupa Korvax do? He can struggle through turn 6 is what he can do. But still getting used to no line, of course. He'll get there. He'll get there. 100%. Rafferrari is improving by 2 tenths in Sector 2. Has he managed to carry it through Sector 3? No, he hasn't. Lost all that time he gained in the final sector, which is just 2 corners, by the way. So that's a shame for him. He could have gone up another couple of spots there because the times are all so close with the exception of Aces and RJ as well. 1.5 tenths gap between him and Alex, which usually I wouldn't say is a lot, but given the rest of the grid, that is quite a lot of margin. Lupper coming to the last corner as well. What about Krauser? He's not improving. Rafferrari, I think, is on an in-lap. Mr. J-Man, though, is improving by 4 tenths of a second as he comes down towards the final corner in the McLaren. The Belgian driver looking for a decent result today. Not had the best run of things recently as he comes down towards the line. It's a 29.5 to put him on the front row. Great effort from Mr. J-Man. Beats out RJ, who is not improving right now. Lupper only a 10th down on Luke Esro on his first qualifying lap without line. That is not bad at all from Lupper, despite that big mistake at turn 6. So there's clearly pace in that Red Bull. As Rafferrari has invalidated, but I think he was on an in-lap anyway, as this wave of laps has, I think, come to an end for now. Lupper has spun it somehow on what I'm assuming was an in-lap, unless he was using 6% ERS to go for a second run, but either way. Back, Mr. J-Man coming through Sector 2, but I think he's on an in-lap as well, as the current provisional pole sitter, Aces versus Kings, comes back out for another outlap. He's looking to take the championship lead today. He's only 5 points behind MCL. And he's 5 points ahead of Lupper as well. So he's got a big chance to take the lead here, as long as he doesn't bottle it today. And, well, Scott, given his rate of improvement, I think this might well be Aces' last season in Tier 2. I hate to say it, but he is improving at a rapid rate and is, I think, by the end of this season, going to have outgrown Tier 2. Which, you know, all credit to him, but I think he's going to be wishing that he hadn't improved so much, possibly. But hopefully he'll have the time to do Tier 1 as well as ESRL on a Friday next season. But Alex coming through turn 1 and 2 at the moment. That looked pretty clean from the Mercedes driver from Ukraine as he comes down towards turn 4. Brake at about the 100 board for this corner. Don't hit the curb on the inside, you lose so much time because you have to balance the throttle. As Alex is 2 tenths up in Sector 1, so a good lap so far from the Mercedes driver. Coming through turn 8 now, down towards turn 9. A bit of a wiggle on the exit from Alex as he struggles to get the traction down. Down towards turn 10 though, looked pretty clean. and looks fairly clean on the exit as well. A little bit conservative on the throttle, but not too bad. DRS open as he comes down towards turn 11, hurtling through on the apex, just missing the apex actually, a little bit wide from Alex as he comes down towards turn 12 now, which is flat out all the way to the sector line. He's 4 tenths up though in the Mercedes. This could see him onto the front row if he can close this lap out, but that was a little wide of the apex there at the penultimate corner. So let's see if he can make up for it in the final corner. No, a little wide again from Alex, so could have lost time in the final sector, but we don't know how good it was on his last attempt. It's a 29.5. He did lose time in the final sector, but it's still enough for P2 for Alex G. He'll be happy with that, as Aces is a 10th up in sector 1. He's in sector 2 right now to see if he can improve even more as Muhiti goes up to P3 in the McLaren. Great effort from him after he hasn't been on the grid for so long recently. Lucasro in P8 at the moment. What can Aces do though? He's 2.5 tenths up in sector 2. Can he close this lap out and secure pole position? It would surely secure pole position as he comes down towards the final corner now, down towards the line. The problem with Aces is we can't nerf him because he's already got no assists on, but down towards the line, it's looking good. It's a 28.8 from Aces versus Kings. It is far, far faster than everyone else, and I don't think anyone's got an answer for that here today. Rafferrari, though, coming through sector 1. In the Williams, as well as plenty others. Jack Alaco as well. Rafferrari, is he going to be improving in that Williams? No, he's way down, and I think that's his qualifying session over. But Jack Alaco is 1.5 tenths up as he looks to gain some positions on the grid. His teammate Lawrence also needs to gain some positions. He's down in P11. What a torrid start to his title defense season it has been. But Jack Alaco through sector 2 right now. Is anyone else on a lap? Plenty of people right now. Lucas Rowe coming through turn 3. Mania in sector 2. Here he goes. In the AlphaTauri, he's 2.5 tenths up in sector 2. It's looking pretty good for a high position for Mania, and by goodness he needs it with his current form. Sumo in sector 1 as well. He's 4 tenths up on his previous best in that first sector. Alex and RJ, that's their sessions done, but everyone else apart from Aces on a lap right now. Mania to the line. It's a 29.6 P5 top 5 finish for Mania right now, but Sumo improving by 1 tenth in sector 1. I counted it before he got to the sector line as he comes into sector 2 now. What about Lucas Rowe and plenty others? Mr. J-Man not improving, neither is Muhiti, so it's all on these guys back here. Tier though is a bit too close to his teammate for comfort here. He's could end up catching his teammate and running into the back of him if he's not careful, if he's too much faster. Lawrence comes to the line. The defending champ goes P5. That's much, much better. Jack Alaco into the pits. No improvement for him. What about Krauser, who's had a poor time in qualifying this season? And again, it's only P12 for the AlphaTauri driver. What about Sumo? What can he do across the line? It's going to be a 29.6. It's P7 for Sumo. Tier goes to P9. Lucas Rowe can't improve. It's P10 for him. What about Lapa Kovacs? Can he do anything to challenge the rest of the grid here with his first race without the line in Tier 2? Round the final corner comes the Finnish driver, a little bit wide on the exit, but across down towards the line. DRS open, and no, he's not improving at all after all as he spins across the line, and that's going to be his session over. Muhiti not improving either, so that is qualifying. Aces versus Kings blows the rest of the grid out of the water, but everyone else very, very close. And yeah, I think this could well be Aces' last season in Tier 2. I think it probably will be.
The Bahrain Grand Prix has opened the Formula 1 season on 2 occasions. First in 2006 and then again in 2010. Typically, Bahrain can start anywhere between the 2nd and 4th races on the calendar. Bahrain's introduction to the Formula 1 calendar in 2004 coincides with what is arguably Michael Schumacher's most successful season of his career. Schumacher won 13
going to be great to watch if it's as close as the quality times. It certainly is, absolutely. And yeah, Lapa, it happens. It happens sometimes. It does happen, but you know, plenty other people in Tier 2 on no line at the moment, so you just got to keep an eye on it, really. And if any brake marker boards get broken, that's it. You've got to keep an eye on it. But Aces takes pole position by over 0.6 of a second from Alex G. A second row lockout for McLaren. They'll be happy with that. Lawrence, the defending champ, in P5 with Mania. A decent quali for him, P6. Sumo, P7 as well. RJ down in P8 after winning in Singapore last week. Tier and Lucas row make up the 5th row in 9th and 10th for Ferrari. Jack Alaco down in P11. He'll be disappointed with that, and he's saying bottle in the chat as well. Krauser in P12 down there. Rafferrari P13 right behind him, and then Lapa starting from the back, but not too far off the pack at all. I'm just going to go double check if my thing is recording this. 1 second. and I was muted this whole time, which is awesome, brilliant, good stuff. But I'm back now. Hello. Sorry about that. Thank you for telling me. Scott. Yeah, no idea how that's managed to happen is what I was basically saying while I was muted. And somehow Alex G is in the lead of the race. I don't know how that's happened either, because he wasn't in the lead, I don't think, by turn 1, unless I just wasn't watching properly. Lucas Rose says, "Oh man, yeah, I'm so sorry, Lucas, that's horrible to have your race end before turn 1 even. That is absolutely horrible. Sumo crashed into someone in front of me and I couldn't react in time. That's so unlucky." Yeah, these things happen. It's racing. Sometimes someone gets a bit of wheel spin on the start and it can cause some untold carnage. But I'm gutted for you that you're in the midst of that. I hate to see drivers in debut seasons be on the receiving end of things like that. So, gutted for you, man. But hopefully you have a better race next week in Miami. But I'm so sorry to have your race end so early. But we do have a safety car, and RJ and Krauser, the only two drivers to take advantage and come into the pits for fresh tyres. Krauser onto the hards, which will struggle to get to the end. RJ onto the mediums, which definitely won't get to the end. He will definitely get a puncture if he tries to take them all the way. He just wants some fresh tyres. To be honest, if it were me, it's probably too early to come in. Even if you're on the softs, and Alex and Rafferrari clearly agree. But yeah, maybe they had damage, I'm not sure. But yeah, they've decided to come into the pits. And we'll see how they do from now on. But they're going to be 12th and 13th at the back of the grid. But yeah, I was just saying a bunch of stuff while I was muted, so I'm a bit annoyed about that. But oh well. At least I'm back now. At least I didn't go the whole stream muted, because that would have been a shame. But it's Alex leading the way. He must have gotten aces at turn 1. I wasn't really paying attention to what was happening at turn 1 because of the carnage behind. I was trying to see. Lupper, listen, if the marker board gets broken during qualifying, it won't respawn for the race. It's stupid, but that's an EA game for you. So sorry about that. Safety car in this lap. Wow, that's very late, and Alex G has got to react to that. Slow down the... I've never seen it come in that late, but Alex coming down towards the line, he decides when to punch it. He's going to go now, just before the line, very close, and this is going to probably cause carnage down towards turn 1 as everyone files down into the corner. It's going to be possibly 3 wide. Alex on the inside of aces as they go through turn 1. A lot of cars filing through the first corner. Is everyone okay? Sumo's lost a ton of positions. There's Rafferrari and Lupper side by side through turn 3. Lupper losing the rear on the exit, but he's just about okay as everyone files through and gets through turn 1 cleanly. Given that safety car restart, that's really impressive. Well done, Tier 2. Very pleased to see that. But the restart has been completed, and here we are, lap 3 of 29. Alex G leads the race on the soft tyres as Aces goes very wide through turn 8 there. And Jack Alaco gets his way past RJ. He's on the inside for turn 10 though, which is going to be really difficult to hold. He keeps the place though. That's a great overtake from the Scottish driver, and he's up to P8. Both Aston Martins need a better race today after a double DNF in Singapore last week, as Muhiti chases after Aces for P2. He may have taken qualifying by 6/10, but the race pace can often be a different story as RJ retakes the place from Jacko back down the inside for turn 12 and 13, and that's a really good re-overtake from the American driver back up to P8 as the two McLarens chase after Aces. Mr. J-Man nearly into the back of his teammate there, into the last corner, and Lawrence is going to try and take advantage on those hard tyres with a better exit as Jacko and RJ swap places once again. That's 3 times in 1 lap, and Jacko back up to P8 as a result of that. DRS should be enabled at the start of the next lap, but not quite yet as Looks like Mania nearly went in the back of Lawrence, just a little bit ahead of Jackalacco. He's got RJ for company still, and Lupper and Rafferrari still there in the midst of the pack. Sumo's retired in the pit lane. I've no idea why. I don't know what's happened to him. Maybe there was structural damage to the car and it was undrivable. I'm not sure. But he's come into the pits and retired, which is a disaster for him. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe you can join me in the commentary box and we can find out. But yeah, that's a huge shame for him. One race lost to be rookie this season. Oh, I'm sorry, Lucas. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Lupper a little bit wide at turn 10. That's the no-line blues, but he's doing a decent job so far without the racing line, as Alex leads by just over a second from Aces. If he can break out of that DRS on those soft tyres, then it will have been worth it, because he'll be able to build a bit of a gap while his tyres are still good, but that little snap on the exit of turn 13 won't help his cause, as Aces is using the ERS to try and get within DRS range, but I think it was just about out of range at the DRS detection point. Muhiti was also out of range, and Aces, yeah, no DRS for the Haas driver. But, oh, DRS enabled at the start of this lap. Right, okay, I thought it was already enabled, so that's why. But still, RJ and Jacko swapping places yet again. RJ down the inside of the Scottish driver, and this is turning into a lovely battle between these two, as Rafferrari and Krauser also side by side through turn 1. The Williams driver getting ahead up to P10, but these two are going to be scrapping all race long by the look of it. Great stuff, as Aces has now been gapped by 1.2 seconds by Alex G, who is on the head of the field right now. And Muhiti chasing down Aces, with the Haas drivers not going to have any DRS now, thanks to Alex streaking away. So big opportunity for Muhiti, especially down towards turn 1 if he can get the momentum. Mr. J-Man there as well, and a big train all the way down to nearly P8, but RJ just about out of it, unfortunately for him. Looking forward to come back in Miami. Me too, Lucas. Hope to see you back on track and doing well again in Miami. You've had a great rookie season so far, I have to say, and great new addition to the community, so I hope you're enjoying Tier 2 so far. But here we go, down onto lap 6, and Aces is back in DRS range. He's found his groove. He's not quite got it down towards turn 1, and Muhiti does, but he's gapped Muhiti by 9/10, so it doesn't really matter. And Lawrence, though, has set the fastest lap in the Aston Martin just behind his Tier. Goes to the inside of Mania into turn 1. The Ferrari driver making moves. He started way further down than this. I think he started P9, so he's up at least 3 positions in that Ferrari, up to P6. And now Lawrence looking to the inside of the McLaren of Mr. J-Man. They go side by side through turn 4. Can Lawrence make the move? The defending champ keeps the inside line for turn 6, and he's going to keep that place. Great move from Lawrence up to P4. Mania getting past RJ as well, or no, the other way around. RJ trying to get past Mania down the inside into turn 8, and Jacko tries to follow him through as well. Mania's race pace not on it at the moment. It hasn't really been on it all season long, which is such a shame for him, because we know how good he can be, but he has lost that place to RJ. But the Alpine doesn't have DRS. Could be an opportunity for Mania. RJ goes defensive, but Mania not interested in contesting that position down towards turn number 11. And he keeps P8 for now, but he should have the DRS down towards turn 1, and an opportunity to retake that place. But they've lost touch with the top 6 right now, as Aces and Alex are going to go side by side into the final corner. Alex has the inside line. There's contact as Alex goes over the curb. Muhiti goes into the back of the Mercedes. Lawrence is there too. There's going to be 4 wide down towards turn 1. Can Aces keep this place, or is it going to be carnage into the first corner? It looks like Muhiti's got ahead of all of them, and the McLaren driver up to P1 after not having raced in Tier 2 for such a long time. He is leading the Bahrain Grand Grand Prix. Alex G is P2 after all of that, and Aces loses out. He's back to P3, and Lawrence is looking to the inside. It's nearly 2 by 2 just behind Tier down the inside of Mr. J-Man as well for P5. This is brilliant racing. Tier loses the rear on the exit of 4, but he just about keeps it together and out of the wall. Lawrence, though, up to P3 and now challenging Alex for P2, the defending champ. This is why he is a champion. It's these sorts of drives and these sorts of performances, getting it done where others can't. And we've got yellow flags in Sector 2. That's Mr. J-Man round at the exit of Turn 8. It's so easy to do at that corner. And RJ's gone round as well in the meantime in the Alpine. I don't know when that happened, but disaster for both of them as Lawrence right behind Alex. Lupper getting a 3-second time penalty for track limits. It won't be the last today. There's going to be plenty of those, I'm sure. But Ace is looking, watching this battle from behind now, waiting for something to go wrong, as it could well have done there if Lawrence had sent it into Turn 10. But Muhiti now leads by 1.1 seconds. He is flying out there, but if Lawrence can clear Alex here, which he should do, the Mercedes driver has no ERS left, and Lawrence still has 30%. Alex, in fact, dives into the pits, an early stop after starting on those soft tyres, looking to get the undercut, and perhaps a 2-stop is in order for Alex here. But Lawrence down towards Turn 1. He is into P2 and chasing Muhiti down for the lead of this race. Alex onto the medium, so it is a 2-stop for the Mercedes driver as someone takes out the bollard at Turn 4. Alex exits the pits down in P11 onto the fresh medium tyres as he looks to chase back the rest of the pack on that 2-stop strategy. We'll see how well it works for him. If there's another safety car, it could work quite well, but we will see. Rafferrari setting the fastest lap in the meantime on 2-lap old mediums, so great effort from him after pitting earlier on. I'm not sure why he pitted, maybe a bin, maybe some contact. I didn't quite catch what happened to Rafferrari, unfortunately. But it is still Muhiti who leads, and Lupper's gone round in the Red Bull at Turn 7. Again, so easy to do, but you can say that about pretty much any corner. It's so easy to spin at most corners on this track if you don't have the throttle control, and if it's your first race without line, you're not going to have the throttle control. So that's just the way it is. So hopefully he can get better if he wants to get better with no line. But because it would be a shame to see him off the grid, but he's just too fast, unfortunately, for Tier 2. But here comes Lawrence now. Muhiti's got no ERS in the tank. Lawrence still 17% left in the battery. Down the inside of the McLaren goes the defending champion, and he is into the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix on the hard tyres as well. He's doing a fantastic job out there. Aces Lawrence through up to P2 and does so with 40% ERS left. Aces, the pole man in the driving seat here. He's got the most ERS and he's right behind Lawrence. So good opportunity for Aces here, but Tier's right there as well on 30% ERS. Jackalacco not too far behind. There's contact further up. There's more contact. Muhiti sent round as Tier was on the inside. I don't think Muhiti saw him, or maybe there was a mistake from the McLaren driver, but contact between the two and Muhiti was sent round. I don't think Tier had sustained any damage, but that's a really unfortunate incident for Muhiti, who was flying out there in the McLaren. So he's going to be gutted to be down there. And now look at this. Look who's in P5 after starting in 12th place in this race. Krauser 17, as he always does in the race, just turns up another gear and he's up into the top 5 and looking to overtake Tier for P4 here. I think there may well be damage to that Ferrari. He looks like he's struggling as he comes through the final corner. But Krauser, little bit of wheel spin on the exit, not going to help his cause to try and overtake this Ferrari. But here we go, and now Aces is in a bit of a precarious position here because he could get bullied by the two Aston Martins. He's sandwiched by the green cars right now as Krauser sends it down the inside of Tier but can't quite make the move into turn 1. Tier stays ahead for now, but these three at the front fighting tooth and nail for turn 4. Jackalacko down the inside of Aces versus Kings. Can he make the move? They're going to try and bully the Haas driver here, the two Aston Martins. Lappa's round again. Someone else's round. That's Rafferrari. No, that's RJ in the Alpine at turn 3. Disaster for him. Lots of spins happening, but it's Bahrain. Of course there's lots of spins happening as Jackalacko follows Aces through down towards turn 10. Can he make this move on Aces? Not quite yet, but he's going to try and shut Aces out of this battle here. It is great racing. I agree, Lancer in the chat. Krauser making the move on Tier in the meantime up to P4. And it's good stuff again from the British driver who finished P3 in the driver's standings last season. 2 seasons ago, and back to form in the last couple of weeks. Still, though, is qualifying. It needs work. That is his main weakness. He's so good on race pace, so if he qualified further up the grid each week, he'd have a really good shot of winning races every week. But because he has to fight his way all the way through the grid every week, it makes it a lot more difficult for him. So it's difficult to say, really, as now Aces looks for the move down the inside of Lawrence into turn 1. The defending champ tries to switch back on him and gets the switch back perfectly through turn 2, and he's going to have the inside line down towards turn 4, but Aces has much more ERS in the tank. Lawrence doesn't choose to send it into turn 4, but Aces goes deep, and Lawrence tries to cut him back but loses the rear on the exit, and Aces keeps the place back into P1. RJ retires in the pit lane. He has had a torrid time out there. I'm assuming that Lappa is going to be retiring as well soon enough, because I think he's just given up at this point. He's trying to push the car too hard, which is what everyone does when they first race without line. They just try and push it far too hard, and then they end up spinning, because they're trying to drive as if they still have the line on, and because you've been relying on the line for so long, you don't know how to do throttle control on the car. So it's really difficult to keep it from spinning all the time. But he's clearly got enough pace to compete. It's just the consistency again, as always. But he's still soldiering on. He's down there in P11. Hasn't come into the pits to retire yet. But Lawrence on the back of Aces down towards the final corner. Can he make a move into turn 1? It's looking like it's going to happen. 11 lap old tyres for the 3 of these drivers who are leading the way at the moment. Tier into the pits for an early stop. I don't know what, probably damage to that Ferrari that he's going to try and fix. But Lawrence round the outside of Aces into turn 1. Brakes later than the Haas driver. Gets ahead and covers off the switchback as well. Aces just hasn't got enough to compete with him down towards turn 4, and Lawrence leads the Bahrain Grand Prix once again from the Haas driver of Aces, and Jackalacko there or thereabouts as well, looking for a way past to try and put Aces under pressure. This is just what he doesn't want. He does not want to be in the middle of 2 drivers on the same team who are pretty even on pace with him at the moment, by the looks of things, both on the hard tyres as well, so they're going to have a better second stint. So at the moment, Aces in a bit of a precarious situation, as we've got yellow flags again. That's Lappa getting out the way, being lapped. The 2 Alpha Tauris not far behind either, 3 seconds down the road and giving each other DRS. Good teamwork between these 2. They need a good result here. They want to get into the top 3 of the constructors standings again, and they're doing a very good job of going for that today. Here they are in 4th and 5th. Lappa with another time penalty as Lawrence, Aces and Jacko head down towards turn 1 for the 13th time in this Grand Prix. Are any of them going to dive into the pits? Aces would be most likely, but he stays out for a little bit longer. DRS open for the Haas driver. Here he goes down towards turn 1. Look at this closing speed. He's got lower wings, I think, on that Haas. Down the inside he goes, but Lawrence hasn't given it up. He keeps it round the outside of turn 1. He's got the inside for turn 2. Tries to keep it there and does. They're going to be side by side down towards 4, but Aces has the DRS crucially, and he should be able to retake the lead of the race, and does, unless Lawrence can switch him back through turn 4. But it's very difficult to get the power down, but he does exactly that. He's still on the inside, but very sensibly backs out before turn 6 very, very sensible there from Lawrence. That could have been a disaster if he kept his nose in there. But good driving from the pair of them, and Jackalacco just silently waiting for something to happen. He's got a nice helmet as well, does the Scottish driver. I give that a solid 9 out of 10, to be honest. Very nice colours, very nice design, but these top three still 3 seconds ahead of the chasing AlphaTauris. Tier on those mediums is chasing down Rafferrari at the moment for P8, looking to take that place. Mr. J-Man 3 seconds down the road from them, and Muhiti down in P6, 10 seconds back from the AlphaTauris. But still going strong, and Alex G on his 2-stop is trying to fight his way all the way back up in the meantime. It's got a decent chance of working well, this 2-stop. I don't think he'll do well enough to get back into the top 3 as Aces peels into the pits for that undercut strategy. It's going to be the hard tyres to the end. But yeah, Alex does look good if a well-timed safety car comes out. Exactly. If it comes out after everyone else has pitted, he's in a very good situation. But Aces onto the hard tyres to the end of the race, going for that undercut strategy instead of going long for the soft tyres later on, as the two Aston Martins do battle down towards turn 4. But I think Jacko chose not to overtake Lawrence. I believe they're in a party together, so probably some communication going on there, as Tier sets the fastest lap on the fresh mediums in that Ferrari. But yeah, Alex G promoted to P5 after the pit stops. Ace is 7 seconds behind them. But obviously he's got to make up another 10 seconds for that 2-stop to give him any chance of catching up to the top 3. But like Sumo says, a well-timed safety car and suddenly he's in business. But I think probably P4 is going to be his best bet today without a safety car. I can't see the 2-stop working well enough. So if he can catch up to the AlphaTauris, I think that's the best shot he's got. But I think a podium, unless something happens ahead of him with those top 3 drivers, is probably going to be off the cards for the Mercedes driver. But we'll see. Who knows? Anything can happen in motorsport, but it's Aston Martin and then AlphaTauri, the top 2, and then 3 and 4 as Lawrence peels into the pits from the lead of the race. It's going to be mediums to the end as he responds to the undercut from Aces. How far behind is he going to be? That's the question. And same question for Jacko. How far behind is he going to be when he pits, as he was the driver behind? So obviously Lawrence gets to pit first, as Krauser and Mania look like they swapped places down towards turn 1. And Lawrence exiting the pit now. There's Aces just ahead of him. Can he stay in DRS range is the question. Lupper setting the fastest lap, proving he does have the pace, but it's just the consistency, as always, when you start racing with no line. But he's soldiering on, to be fair to him, despite all of his complaints in the chat and in the Discord. He's soldiering on, he's keeping going, and he set the fastest lap out there, so he's doing a decent job so far, despite being so far behind in this race. But Lawrence 1.2 seconds behind Aces, but he is on the mediums compared to the hards, so once he's got them warmed up, he should, in theory, be able to catch that Haas back up. But we know how good Ace's raw pace is from qualifying, so it's whether Lawrence can match that in this middle stage of the race. 1.1 seconds, it's agonizingly close to that 1 second range, and Aces using some ERS perhaps, but I think it's just lower wings on that Haas, giving him the straight line speed advantage as Mr. J-Man makes a move up to P8 on Rafferrari. As the two McLarens move. Hitty's come into the pits, by the way, for hard tyres, but he's going to be really disappointed to not be up with that front pack after that spin earlier on. Lawrence, meanwhile, goes across the curb at the last corner. That's not what you want to be doing, and he doesn't have the DRS down towards turn 1, which is crucial. That's a huge gain for Aces, for Lawrence not to have that DRS there. But look at this, Alex really struggling for pace on these 8-lap-old mediums. Aces already only 3 seconds behind him. It was 7 seconds just a couple of laps ago. He's caught him by 4 seconds. And this 2-stop, I don't think, is working out, unfortunately for him. But we'll see how he does over the rest of the race. But he's got a lot of work to do to gain anything from doing this two-stop, I think. The two AlphaTauris still staying out. I wonder who's going to go onto the hard-soft strategy as Lupper goes round again at the same corner, turn 7, sorry, really struggling there. As Mania swaps place with Krauser for P2 there. They're 5 seconds adrift of Jack Alacco, who has stayed out. I think it is going to be hard-soft for all of these three, but it remains to be seen. Whether Jack Alacco comes into the pits this lap. Those hards start to get really tough to drive on at this stage in the race, so it's whether he sticks it out or bails and comes in. It looks like he's sticking it out for now. 16 laps he's done on those hard tyres as Mania bails on the hard soft. He's into the pits, presumably for the fresh mediums. Krauser staying out to avoid the double stack. But what tyres are going to be put on this AlphaTauri, I wonder? It is the mediums. It's the yellow-walled medium tyres for Mania. And he's going to exit quite a way adrift of Aces and Lawrence, thanks to that undercut that they both got. And talking of which, Lawrence is in DRS range of this Haas now, but Aces has caught up to Alex, and he's going to be in DRS range of the Mercedes as well, which is going to make Lawrence's life quite difficult at this late stage of the Grand Prix. 12.5 laps left to go in this one, and these two battling tooth and nail for this race win. Lawrence looks to the outside of Aces, very, very dangerous to go for that, but chose not to fully send it into the corner, probably sensibly so, as they break for turn 10. That's someone round. That's Lupper at the same corner once again. Turn 7 is nemesis today. He cannot get it right. But Ace is now using the DRS to overtake Alex, and now there's a car between them. That won't be for long. Lawrence should clear the Mercedes pretty quickly, but it's how much time he loses to Alex here. He's going to look to the inside of turn 11. Very, very risky. Sorry, turn 12. And has to avoid sending it. Alex very wide. Lawrence gets a time penalty trying to avoid contact. Alex squeezing him all the way off the road here as Lawrence goes to the outside. He chose his line there. Nothing Alex did wrong. Lawrence moving swiftly out the way of the Mercedes, but he's lost a huge amount of time to Aces, and he's gotten himself a time penalty, which he's going to be really frustrated about, but there's no way he's going to be able to get that removed, I don't think, as he's not going to get the DRS into turn 4 either, so he's going to be really annoyed about that particular exchange. Aces, though, is going to use that to the fullest advantage he can, as Alex is going to try and come in for the softs pretty soon, I would imagine. Jacko and Krauser still sticking it out for the hard soft strategy. I do like it myself. I'm quite partial to it, but it's whether these guys can pull it off, because it's a tough strategy to go for. Lupper into the pits for fresh softs in the meantime, looking to try and set the fastest lap, but he's going to have trouble beating Jacko in particular here to that extra point. But I think his 1 lap pace, he's got it in him. He's definitely got it in him to set that fastest lap. So don't give up on this Red Bull driver yet to take the fastest lap point. Still very much possible, as Lawrence has caught back up to Aces, whose race pace is not matching his quali pace so far. The Aston Martin driver through the penultimate corner. That's going to be another warning, though, and that's going to make his life quite difficult to not get another penalty. Jacko finally into the pits for the soft tyres, I assume. Krauser in as well for the same reason. Aces and Lawrence come through the final corner. They're going to be leading this race, but Jacko's going to be hunting them down on the fresh soft tyres that he's just put on that car. Here comes Lawrence to the inside of Aces versus Kings. He's going to go for it. DRS closed as they break for the corner. Lawrence to the inside. It's going to be the outside for turn 2. Can he keep it, make it stick? Yes, he can. On the exit of turn 3, he is ahead. Jack Alacco exits the pits. What's the gap to leader? It's 9 seconds. But he can definitely chase that down if he's got the pace in him, especially if these two start battling tooth and nail, which they may well do. In this final stint. Tia, in the meantime, up to P3. He's on 7 lap old mediums. He can get those to the end, you know. It's not out of the question at all. It's just going to be really, really tough for him. And he's going to be at risk of a puncture towards the end. But he's got a really good chance here at possibly not a podium because of the time penalty he's got, unfortunately, but top 5 for sure he's got a chance at, as Muhitti's down in P8 now after all is said and done with the pit stops, which is a big surprise. I thought he'd be further up than that, especially with his teammate up there in P6, although J-Man still has to go another 10 laps on those hards unless he wants to pit again. So going to be tricky for him, as Lupper getting out the way of the top 2 again, causing some yellow flags, but that's all good as Tier comes to the final corner. 5 seconds behind these two. Lawrence has gapped Aces by 8/10, but it's going to be the straight line speed for the Haas driver that's going to serve him well here. He's definitely got lower wings than Lawrence, because we've seen his straight line speed advantage even without DRS, as he comes through turn 1 but goes very, very deep and loses half a second to Lawrence, and that could be brutal here for Aces. If he loses that DRS range, which he has now briefly, and can't get back into it, Lawrence has the opportunity here to win this race. If he can just eke out those 3 seconds, but that's a big slide through turn 7. Almost loses the whole car, but manages to keep it going. Very good car control from the defending champion. But he is now 1.4 ahead of Aces, and there will be no DRS for the Haas driver on approach towards turn 11. It's already 1.5 seconds, and Ace is using ERS in desperation here. Lawrence, in the meantime, could get DRS from Lupper here, but Lupper getting in the way a bit of the race leader. This is a bit of a problem for Lawrence. He's going to be very irritated by this, but he should be able to get the DRS from the back marker at least, which might make up for it. And Aces is going to be fuming about that. He's used so much ERS to try and stay on track with Lawrence, but he's down to 16% now and nothing to show for it. He's not in DRS range, and Lawrence is going to get the DRS down towards turn 1 from Lupper, who does set the fastest lap for now, but Jack Alaco is about to come across the line. Further back, can he reset that fastest lap? No, not this time. He's up to P3 as Tier has come into the pits. He's given up on taking those mediums to the end. It's another set of the mediums, which is a big surprise. I thought he would go for the softs, but no, mediums for the Ferrari driver, and he's going to drop all the way down to P9 here. And Alex G, that 2-stop has not worked in the slightest. He's down to P8 now, and he's going to be disappointed with how this race has unfolded for him. There could still be a late safety car, but he's going to feel like he could have done a lot more with this Grand Prix, I think. As now Lawrence leads by 1.8 seconds. Jack Alaco 8 seconds behind Aces. He's not catching as quickly as he would like. He's still on the podium at the moment, so he's doing a good job, but he's not going to be able to put the pressure on Aces by the looks of it. I don't think he quite has enough pace on those soft tyres to make that hard-soft strategy work. You've got to have the pace on the softs in the race for that strategy to be any use, and I don't think Jacko quite has it, as Aces is closing Lawrence back down again. The tyres starting to equalise, and the Haas driver back within 1.3 seconds of the race leader as he looks for his second win of the season, I think. Or would it be his first? I think it's his first win of the season, actually. He won last season, but I don't think he's won this season yet. I'd have to double check. But now 1.2 seconds behind Lawrence. Neither of them have any ERS left, so they're equal on that front as well. And Jack Alaco has 40%, but he's only really going to be able to catch these guys if they start battling. I think that's going to happen pretty soon. We've got yellow flags again in Sector 1. That's Lupper round in on the straight, coming out of turn 3 by the looks of it. Really struggling right now for throttle control, which is the hardest thing. You would think it's the braking zones with no racing line, but no, it's throttle control. That's always the hardest thing to manage when you first turn it off, and Lupper discovering that at the moment today, but especially here in Bahrain, it's awful around this track. But Lupper finally retiring from the session. Is that going to cause a safety car, though? It is! It's a safety car! He's binned it out of turn 4, has the Red Bull driver. I thought he'd retired in the pits, but no, he's binned it out of turn 4, and Lawrence is going to be gutted about that one. He's got a 3-second penalty to his name, and this safety car is going to make his life very, very difficult. Everyone back in this Grand Prix now. Jack Alaco is going to be fuming about that, because he's going to have to sacrifice the fresh soft tyres that he used to do this stint. And stick on another set, so it's going to be difficult for him. Mr. J-Man's already come into the pit, so this is good for him. He might gain a couple positions out of this, but Lawrence and Aces into the pits. Jacko also in for the fresh soft tyres. I wonder if he'll lose out to the double stack. It's going to be very, very close. But Mania onto the softs, and the 2 Alpha Tauris are going to have to double stack here, but I don't think they'll lose anything. Rafferrari, no! Rafferrari, just as he had an opportunity to get back in the race, he's been given a drive-through penalty. So he's going to drop back to the back of the grid, and I think it's going to be last place for him, unfortunately. That's such a shame for the Spanish driver, because he was sticking with it. He was going pretty well in this Grand Prix, but now he's going to have to serve that drive-through after the safety car, and he's going to be feeling pretty awful in that cockpit right now. Lawrence leading the Grand Prix though from Aces, but he does have that time penalty, and Jack Alaco is well and truly in the fight for this race win. Mania and Krauser looking for a podium here. The 2 McLarens also have been very quick on race pace today. Alex G, we know he's got good quali pace, but can he use those softs to their full effect in the race situation? We'll have to wait and see. Tier in P9, let's have a quick look at penalties. 3 seconds to Lawrence and to Tier. So it's tricky for them to really gain anything out of this. But Lawrence in particular is going to be really annoyed about this safety car. It was looking like a pretty comfortable P2 for him at least, and now he's going to be struggling to stay on the podium. Unfortunately, he's got 5 or 6 laps of green flag racing to try and do the best he can to gap the cars behind, but with the DRS trains around this circuit, it's really, really tough. Everyone coming through into the final sector. We're going to come on to lap 24 of 29. 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Safety car should come in at the end of lap 24, so we'll get about 5 laps of green flag racing and 2 laps of DRS green flag racing. Tier into the pits, why not? For a fresh set of soft tyres, he's already at the back. And Rafferrari has a drive-through, so Tier sacrificing that position for a fresher set of softs, and that could pay dividends because the softs wear off so quickly. But of course, that time penalty is going to make his life very, very difficult. Aces will want this on track, says Scott. Hold tight. Yeah, he certainly will. You never know when people can get their penalties removed. I don't think Lawrence will be able to in this case, but you never know. So you've always got to try and win on track if you can. And Aces is definitely going to want that, but so is Jack Alaco. We've already seen him do a comeback drive to a race win in Imola this season, round number 1. And here he is in P3 with fresh soft tyres as with everyone else as well. The 2 Alpha Tauris behind in 4 and 5. They'll be looking for a podium out of this as well. And the 2 McLarens there too. Everyone's so close on pace. We know that from qualifying, but it's very, very close. And honestly, couldn't call the podium, could not call it. No idea who's going to win this race or who's going to be in the top 3. It could be anyone, especially at this track where everything can change so quickly. And we're about to get going again. Safety car should be in at the end of this lap. And There is the message on the top of your screen. 10 drivers hungry for positions. Rafferrari is going to be the one to lose out thanks to that drive-through. He's going to be gutted about that. But Lawrence leading the pack down towards the final corner. Everyone weaving, getting their tyres up to temperature. Lawrence can choose when to punch it. As soon as that safety car's in the pit lane, which it is now, is Lawrence going to go out the final corner? He's hit the curb, so definitely not. And waits a little bit longer. When is he going to punch it? The defending champion down towards the line, and here he goes for the final few laps of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Lawrence leads on to lap 25, but Ace is right behind. He's got that straight line speed that we know. He's got lower wings than Lawrence, as we've seen all race long. Lawrence to the inside of turn 1. He's going to keep that place. There's contact further back. That's the AlphaTauri of Krauser losing out, maybe to Alex G. Rafferrari up to P5. It's such a shame about his drive-through. What a restart he's had. Alex G has gone round in the background, as well as Muhiti. I don't know what happened to them. Tia's made the move on Mr. J-Man up to P7 in the meantime. No idea what is happening here. In the midfield, Rafferrari is going to be absolutely gutted that he's got that drive-through, because it's an incredible restart from the Williams driver. But Krauser's also going to be annoyed about that, but no one's going to be as annoyed as Alex G and Muhiti. Have no idea what happened between the two of them, but both of them were round on the exit of turn 3. It's Lawrence who still leads this Grand Prix from Aces and Jacko. But Jacko's going to want that race win. Mania's going to want a podium here. We're going to have 4 laps to go at the end of this one. Could not call any position in this race at the moment. Rafferrari going to have to serve that drive-through, so Krauser will be released, but he's not going to have the DRS as it stands. He's going to have to hope that the guys in front start battling very hard, and Ace has had a little peek to the inside of the final corner there, but didn't send it, as that would be very foolish indeed. Rafferrari guttingly comes in for his drive-through penalty and serves it, but he will drop to the back of the grid, unfortunately, as Lawrence continues to lead this Grand Prix. It's Aston Martin, Haas, Aston Martin, and then the 2 AlphaTauris in 4 and 5, but Krauser losing out due to that contact on the restart lap. And he's 1.5 seconds behind, and he's going to struggle to get back in DRS range. He's going to be gutted that he's not had a chance to go for the podium today at the moment, but still plenty of racing to go. 3.5 laps left. Can Lawrence hold on track and maybe get that penalty removed? I don't think he'll get it removed, but I think what he's going to want is to try and gap Jack Alacco and everyone behind him to try and keep hold of P2. P2 Lawrence is what he does, isn't it? It says Scott in the chat. Lawrence is definitely going to see that. So we'll see what he thinks of that one. But Jack Alacco has lost out to the top 2. He doesn't quite have the race pace on these softs. We saw that in the final stint before the safety car came out. He wasn't catching up to them on the soft tyres like he should be. And he's out of DRS range. It's going to be a real struggle for him, as Mania is going to look to take P3 here. He needs a good result, this man. He's had a torrid start to this season. And getting back onto the podium for the first time in a long time would be a brilliant way to end that curse. And he's in the DRS range of Jack Alacco, so he's got a great chance of doing exactly that. He's going to have it down towards turn 4. They both clatter over the curb at turn 1. Krauser under pressure from Tia. He's not managed to close to within DRS, so he's going to be under huge pressure from the Ferrari. Here he goes to the inside. There's a bit of contact as Krauser defends to the inside, and Tia didn't quite go inside enough to avoid the contact, but they've just about made it through. Tia still behind this AlphaTauri, but he does have that time penalty to contend with, and Mr. J-Man hungry for that position from the Ferrari when all is said and done on the timing sheets at the end. Tia still chasing down this AlphaTauri down towards turn 10, nearly into the back of him, and gets on the curb. That's not going to help his pace through that corner, and indeed Mr. J-Man catches up to the back of him as a result. Mania right behind Jackalacko, Aces right behind Lawrence. 2 laps to go at the end of this one. We're going to have a grandstand finish to the Bahrain Grand Prix. We've had very good finishes to all 3 divisions at this track this week. It's been great stuff here in APPF1. The Aces versus Kings all the way down towards the final corner. He's not quite going to make that move on the Aston Martin, but he's going to have much more ERS in the tank, and he's got the DRS. Aces with a fantastic opportunity here to retake the race lead, and does, down towards turn 1. So much more straight line speed than that Aston Martin. And Lawrence nearly into the back of him, has to get on the curb to avoid him. That's going to cost him some crucial time here, as Ferrari's binned it out of the penultimate corner, trying to catch back up. So that's such a shame for him. What a restart he had. It's really, really tough to see. But Mr. J-Man making moves on Tier and Crozer. A double overtake from the McLaren driver. Brilliant stuff from J-Man. He's up to P5. Crozer down to 6th. And he's going to have to chase that McLaren down on the final lap to try and secure the top 5 finish, the double top 5 finish for AlphaTauri today that they're going to definitely want, as Lawrence is losing out to Aces. That soft tyre pace just too much for him, but there's a big mistake from Mr. J-Man out of turn 8 clearly, as Krauser gets past him on the approach to turn 9 and is back up into P5, but it's not over yet. There's one more big DRS zone and then a couple more to go on the final lap. But Mania, desperate for this podium, but at the moment he's within range of getting the podium anyway. It's 2.7 seconds to Lawrence. That's all. He needs to be less than 3 seconds behind him, and he will get a long-awaited podium finish. Lawrence is going to be gutted to lose out on the podium if that is how this ends, but he's got no ERS left. He's got no pace on those soft tyres. Aces really blowing everyone else out the water on soft tyre pace, but mediums and hards he wasn't quite on the same level, but it's just enough to keep these guys behind. Mania not got enough ERS to challenge Jacko into turn 1, but he's 2.5 seconds behind Lawrence, and that's what he needs to be, as Mr. J-Man to the inside of Krauser to take P5. Krauser tries to switch back, but Mr. J-Man just about holds him off, but Krauser sweeps around the outside of turn 2, has it on the exit of turn 3, retakes the place, has the DRS down towards 4 as well. Mr. J-Man comes under pressure from Tier, so can't attack Krauser back, and Krauser back up to P5. Tier and J-Man fighting tooth and nail for P6 on track, but Tier has to back out before turn 7. Very sensibly done. There's contact between Muiti and Alex right on the end on the final lap. Alex is going to be annoyed with that one. I'm not sure what happened. I only caught the tail end of it, but Mania now is back out of range, but there was a big mistake from Lawrence out of turn 10 there from the Aston Martin driver. And that's going to bring Mania back into contention for the podium. It's 2.9 seconds. It's going to be so close for that final podium place. Will it be a double Aston Martin podium, or will Mania snatch it away at the final lap? Aces versus Kings, though. He's coming down towards the final corner. It's not been all his own way tonight. He's had to fight for it, but he comes round the final corner, and Aces versus Kings takes the championship lead and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix in Tier 2. Lawrence comes home in P2 on track, but it's going to be 3rd across the line. Mania couldn't quite get him. It's 2/10. That's gutting for the AlphaTauri driver. Krauser did manage to beat J-Man to P5 in the end. Great result for AlphaTauri. But Tier comes home in P7. It's going to be Muhiti for P8 round the final corner. Alex G coming around the final corner as well. He's going to be frustrated with that final lap contact with Muhiti, but he does a bit of a wiggle across the line, and it's P9 for the Mercedes driver. Ferrari will be devastated that he didn't get a chance to fight for a higher position in the end after that beautiful restart, but the drive-through consigned him to the back of the grid. Scott, very happy for Aces in the chat. Jackalacko gets driver of the day from the game. I will assign mine in a second. Thanks for the comms, Ghost. Much appreciated. Have a great week. Thank you, Joe. You too. And you guess you'll go prep this cheddar for Thursday for Scott. There we go. Lupper, if you're still here, if you want to talk to me about admin, don't talk to me about admin while I'm commentating a race, because I just, like, I need to think, and I can't really think when I'm commentating a race. Sorry, that's why I've been ignoring you. But anyway, Aces takes the race win in Bahrain. A brilliant performance from the Haas driver. With Jack Alaco in P2, Lawrence in P3 in the end, just about beating Mania to that final spot on the podium by 0.2 of a second. But it's a great result for AlphaTauri as they finish 4 and 5, and it's a good result they desperately needed, to be honest. Mr. J-Man in P6 with Tia down in P7 after that penalty. Muhiti in P8, but I'm not sure what happened with the contact between him and Alex, but whatever it was, Alex finishes P9 with Rafferrari in P10, but it could have been so much more after that drive-through he got under the safety car. Lupper Korvax, RJ, Sumo, and Lucas Rowe all unable to finish the race. Lucas Rowe's race ending before turn 1. Very, very unlucky for him. But lovely race to watch. Stick around for the interviews. I will be interviewing the top 3 on the podium. Let's get them in the party, shall we? So Aces, Jacko, and Lawrence are going to be joining us for interviews.
Hello.
Hello to Jacko, who's just joined. Just wait another minute or so to see if Aces and Lawrence can join us.
Lawrence should be coming.
Well, he's only coming by 0.2.
Yeah.
Aces.
Let's go!
And Lawrence joining the party. Ace is very excited, so we'll come to you first, Aces.
Go!
Well, you certainly sound happy. It's, let me double check. Yeah, your first win of the season and the championship lead. Great job, Aces. How are you feeling?
Let's go. I'm buzzing. I ain't gonna lie, I am buzzing. My throat's hurting, I was just shouting so loud. Oh man, that was a fucking sweat, that was. That was an absolute sweat. Oh, quali was good. I don't know where I got that lap from. It just came out of nowhere. Everything just came together to put it on the front row for the first time, and I don't even know how long, to be fair. I hope Rick can help me with that. But yeah, it was sick, man. What a race.
Yeah, well, I mean, the qualifying pace was clearly far and above everyone else today, but the race pace, you came back down to the Aston Martins and a few other drivers. So were you surprised to be in battles throughout the entire race, or were you expecting to have a drop in race pace?
To be honest with you, I was just trying to manage. Didn't want to get no damage, and I made a slight couple of mistakes with like other cars in front of me. I don't know what was going on with who is it, Luco or something like that?
Yeah,
He was a blue flag, and he's put me off totally when me and Lawrence are battling. I think he done the same to Lawrence. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought I'd be patient. I let them go past at the start. I just thought I'd be patient. It'll come back to me in the end. It was when the tyres just started going off as well. I just thought I'd box early, box a lap early, managed to get the gap about a second and a half, but then Lawrence came back at me in the medians. And I saw he had a 3-second penalty, but I was like, nah, I don't want it on track like. So, but yeah, the race pace could have been better, but the quality pace, the one lap pace was good, to be fair.
Yeah, well, it was a very good race from my perspective as well. But did you enjoy all those battles with Lawrence, Tier, Jacko, and many others, especially in the first stint? You must have had your nerves racked a bit in the first stint with all the battles going on.
Do you know what? It's about trusting the guy that's next to you. And
Yeah.
to be fair, I can't complain. I had many battles with Tier, many battles with Jacko, and it's always fair with Lawrence as well. I knew if I go next to him, he'll give me space, and vice versa. He knows I'll give him space as well. And that's the way it should be. That's definitely the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, Aces. You're now leading the championship by Jacko was P2, wasn't he? And Lawrence was P3. So if we look at the standings, you were 8 points ahead of them. So now you're going to be leading by 12 points going into Miami. How are you feeling about Miami? Is it a good track for you?
I haven't raced it in a while, but don't you worry, I'll be putting the work in over the next week just to make sure I get that pace for next week, definitely. If you hook it all up and get the rhythm, it's a great track to ride. Great track to ride.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But yeah, congratulations today, and
Let's go.
We'll see you back next week.
Down. Cheers, Ghost.
All right, on to our P2 finisher, Jacko. Well, after qualifying, you wouldn't have been expecting to be here, Jacko. So how was that race for you?
Well, the race was good. Yes, I had good pace, but I just bottled qualifying completely. Just couldn't get a lap together.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw you with plenty of battles as well. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was the strategy that you went for, the hard soft. You just didn't seem to have the race pace on softs today.
No, I struggled to get them going really, but thankfully that second safety car saved me. I probably would have had P3 anyway, but the second safety car gave me a chance at least. But Lawrence and Aces were just a step ahead today.
Well, yeah, they certainly were after the safety car, but you were sticking with them throughout that second stint.
Yeah, I tried.
First stint, so it was a good effort from yourself and a good P2 to see you up to P2 in the championship as well.
Yeah, needed it.
Yeah, definitely. So, how are you feeling about Miami next week? Is it a good or bad track for you?
Hate it. Absolutely hate it.
Oh dear.
Probably more. I've done no line practice around it, and I don't really like it with line, to be honest. So,
yeah.
Or am I just playing my own games?
Well,
I hate it.
on the bright side, there's no pressure on you. So
no, exactly.
You know, any result will be a good one. So,
yeah.
Well, good luck for Miami, and congrats on P2.
Thank you. Cheers.
And finally, to our defending champion Lawrence, who's back on the podium after the DNF in Singapore last week. But that 3-second penalty nearly consigned you to P4 in the end.
Yeah, almost. I had a dreadful second sector as well in the last lap. JB just said he had one just as bad, so I think that saved my bacon. It was at a point where two of my warnings were trying to avoid. One was Alex. I can't remember what the first one was for now. I just got too much wheel spin and I thought it was going to slam into my side pod, so I took evasive action and unfortunately got warnings for it, but I picked up a couple of other warnings towards the end, which would have given me a 3-second penalty anyway, so I couldn't have done much about it.
Yeah, I did see one of them where you were avoiding Alex, I think it was, just in front, going to the outside, but Yeah,
I thought he was drifting, taking
yeah,
a drift
yeah.
for a minute.
Yeah, tricky ones to take, but at least still managed to get on the podium. But did you feel it was a race win that slipped away today, or did you always feel that it was going to be an uphill struggle?
It was going to be an uphill task. Congratulations to Aces. I think, the perfect setup. Just straight line speed. He was a rocket ship, and unfortunately, I just had to use a lot of VRS to try and keep him behind, or I just ran out trying to keep up with him on that last lap. Yeah, once he got ahead, it was never in doubt for him really. After that, he had it firmly under control.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, it's still a good performance from you, back on the podium again. And I posit the same question to you. Miami next week. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I did Miami in another league race just over a week ago, so I'm quite confident it should be good. Just got a flip racing lineup and just find the breaking points, but I've got good history around Miami. No front wing.
Yeah. Well, the defending champion saying he's confident. Not something that your rivals are going to want to hear, but good to hear from your perspective. So looking forward to seeing how you do in Miami. Good luck for that, and well done today.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for your commentary and streams as always.
No problem at all. Well, thank you everyone for watching. It's been a great stream. A lot of people commenting and a lot of people watching, so good to see you all. And it's a great race today all throughout the grid. So we will be, like I said, in Miami next week. It's sure to be a bit of a chaotic race, so it's going to be great to watch. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope you are too. But for now, I've been Ghost, and we'll see you next week for more APPF1. Have a lovely week, everyone, and see you then.